Turn my music high, 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 high. Yeah. You don't know what you're doing. Sure I do.
How's it going? I am back. Yes, you know it, and you like it because you asked for it. Well, maybe you didn't ask for it, but being the commissioner, I can make it happen anyway, so who cares? But either way, I got a lot of positive response from the last video, so it continued to encourage me to do it again. And even if I didn't get a great response, I ain't got shit else to do. So guess what? I'm going to do the video anyways. It's 1:27. The game was ended about an hour ago, and I just got done with my notes, so I'm here with you guys. And that's the kind of commitment you're going to get from your commissioner, so you guys are very lucky. You're a very, very lucky group of guys. So First week, it was a great week. There was a lot of different action, a lot of going on in the NFL, and it was really exciting. And especially for the league, there was a lot of highs, there was a lot of lows, and there was a lot of surprises, And then I'll definitely get into. But let's first go over the Bears weekend. The Bears played on Sunday against the Colts. The Colts is a building team with trying to build around luck. And we destroyed them. We put a beating on them, and it was a fun game to watch. I think it was somewhere around, 2 touchdowns thrown, and then, we also Forte and also Forte and Bush both scored. So it was a lot of fun to watch. It's a hell of a team. We have a nice core of receivers with old school guys like Bennett and new guys like Brandon Marshall and also Alshon Jeffries, who I am continuously being impressed by. I think that Alshon Jeffries and Brandon Marshall duo are going to be really scary. They're going to be the kind of duels that you hear about with other teams, like the Julio Jones and the Roddy Whites of the NFL. So I hope that, I really continue to see that relationship develop. Alshon Jeffries is young, and has been some character questions, but I think Lovey is the kind of coach that deals well with those kinds of guys. He brings them along, people trust them, so I think he'll do well. With the Bush and Forte tandem, it seems like it's working. It seems like Forte is not at all discouraged by having somebody else like Bush in the backfield. In fact, it seems like he's more motivated to continue to play, and he does what he does, which is catch the ball out the backfield and also run in space. And so that was a great thing. And then we have Cutler. Finally, I think all of us non-Cutler haters, I think I've always been a Cutler fan, knew that this was something that can happen. And especially in Chicago, we all knew it, but we just didn't have the tools. When your best receiver is Hester, there's not much the man can do. And now when he's surrounded with some serious talent, we are starting to see that, he can be a serious threat in the league. And I think even maybe top 7 quarterback. I'm not going to say top 5, but definitely top 7, definitely top 10, and I think people are going to agree with that statement in the future. So that was the Bears. The Bears did awesome. Jennings gets forgotten a lot with Peanut back there. Peanut's always been the guy that we think about when it comes to the secondary. Our linebacking crew did good. Urlacher had to step out for most of the game because they really need him. And so Roach did a good job in the middle, but we still have Peppers. Peppers really put the pressure on. They were double teaming him the whole game, and then we have Briggs, who's continuously going to be a threat. So I think that though we played against a rookie and not a great offense, but they still, like I said, they still got Reggie Wayne, and on defense they still have Freeney and they still have Mathis. So it's not a team you can really like say, hey, they suck and move on, because you have to prepare for those guys. Those are veterans who know how to play the game. So that's the Bears. So that was exciting. And there was a lot going on in the NFL with the Cowboys seem like they're really serious about the season. We have other teams like today with Flacco. He looked really good with Baltimore. RG3, holy cow! Who expected that? I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be good, but I don't know. People are really excited about him, especially in Washington. So I'm really excited to see him. Cam Newton didn't do so great. So that was, I was, surprised by that. Vic also, he holds on to the ball too much. For you guys that have the Vic, he just holds on to the ball. And I know, and it's probably not his fault. It's probably a lot of the game planning. Brady's Brady, and Manning's Manning again, and so that was pretty awesome. So those are some of those key things I think I saw over the weekend, and that will lead us right into our teams and the best part, the reason we do this. you guys, again, there was a lot of surprises, and probably the biggest, well, I won't say the biggest surprise yet because I have a bigger surprise than that. But I'm going to go ahead and let's talk about the first game that I was looking at, which was the Severo versus Marcos, I believe it's Team Cosleon versus Team Lopez, who have come up with the two most unoriginal team names in the league. So I hope you guys maybe change them. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with your last names, but yeah, let's get creative, boys. So, anyways, that was the Team Lopez versus Team Close Leon, and you know what? It's not completely fair that Team Lopez rolled on Team Close Leon because Team Close Leon owner Severo is going through a loss right now. His young lady, Miss Leslie, is in Tampa or Sarasota or somewhere in fucking Florida. I don't know, and he's not dealing with this well. He's not, and I think that came into play. And well, it's hard to pick and do anything when your ball's in a whole goddamn other state. So so Marcos, you took advantage of the situation. So, but nonetheless, your team did really, really well. I think they came up with about, let's see here, 101 points. You're one of the, teams with the triple digits. So good for you. Good for you. Like I said, I didn't expect much. So this is a pleasant surprise. I mean, big guys on your team was Alex Smith and Ray Rice. Ray Rice was a great pickup. I don't even know if you knew who Ray Rice was. DeMarco Murray, not great, but not bad either. You got Graham on your team, which is one of the best tight ends in the league. And also Michael Bush. That was probably the best pickup you had, especially in the late rounds, picking up Bush. And he really, really helped you out. Your defense was horrible. I think you were -3, but that didn't matter since Severo's team didn't really show up to play. His best scorer was Peyton Manning, which I think is the only reason he's doing this. But the one thing I think is really interesting, that Forte was probably the only reason that his team had a respectable showing with Brandon Marshall also. So everybody wanted Brandon Marshall, but you got him, and it worked out for you. But I think the difference was definitely your other players not showing up more than anybody. Beanie Wells, I mean, that was a horrible display, and who knows? I don't know what's gonna. Cole looked like he did all right, but he's not looking at Beanie Wells. We're not looking at Beanie Wells to move the team forward. So that was interesting. That was a really big game. The next one is looking at the Chicago Soldados versus Smoke the Bow and Drink a Forte. See, those are not, the Chicago Soldados not the best names, but it's getting there. See, those are names, Marcos. You might want to use them. Vano and Nico. Nico, this was not a completely exciting game. Again, this was more of a low-scoring game. And Nico, for someone who's been doing this for a couple years, I'm really surprised by some of your picks. Michael Turner and Donald Brown. I don't even know who the hell Donald Brown is. And even though he got 10 points, I mean, that was your starter. Steve Smith is kind of long in the tooth, and so that's another kind of, the only one that's kind of big and sexy, I guess, on this team is Deshaun Jackson, who went away with 7 points, and that had a lot to do with just Vic not being able to make those completions. I think he was like 45, he threw 45 times, maybe completed like, I don't know, 15 of those. I'm not even sure. And then I think the saving grace was your defense, who kept you in the game. On the other hand, Vano, you had some really good pickups with Tony Romo, popping off on Thursday or Wednesday night, and Gronkowski staying steady. LaShawn McCoy got 11, not a great game. I mean, again, I think that we'll see that change in the future. Jordy Nelson, not so great, but I mean, that's the problem with picking a guy from a team like the Packers. Again, there's so many weapons on that team, especially on the offense. Your defense, it kept you in the game, but nothing, again, I think if you bring this kind of effort with a couple of the other teams, it won't work out as well for you. Moving on, we had, now this was an interesting series that I was really looking at. It was the Bone Crushers versus the Pittsburgh Pencil Pushers, or as I like to call it, the Francisco Bowl. And Frankie and Cisco, who I would consider not novice when it comes to sports. I think that they're one of the more well-informed guys that watches sports consistently and follows, and what the hell they're talking about. Unless like some of you other guys who just get lucky. Your team sucked this weekend too. I mean, they weren't okay. I shouldn't say they sucked, but they weren't great. Well, Frankie, your team sucked, bro. Your team. I mean, -4 on the Bills. Why would you go with the Bills? I don't even understand. Like, I don't think defense Bills. I was like, I mean, maybe you had a late pick on that one. I'm not even sure how that even went. I'm sure I should have looked at who was your backup defense, but -4? Oh yeah, that's right. Sanchez blew your ass up. You probably thought that boy was gonna do. Man, my boy Sanchez. I'm still holding on to him. I didn't pick him, but I might look for him in the future. But I mean, he threw what, 4 touchdowns? Man, I knew you hated watching that game. Oh, that was one Mexican you hate this weekend. But Kevin Smith on the running back, he was the only thing worth watching on your squad. 20 points, 20 points, Kevin Smith, and that's that offense over in Detroit that's really, I think, is going to develop in the future. Cisco, you got Aaron Rodgers. Thankfully they lost, but he also went off 22 points, but he pretty much played by himself. It looks like he was playing by himself. There was nothing coming out of the running back. I think they have Cedric Benson starting, and well, you can't really expect too much. I'm curious to see how Cedric does against the Bears this weekend, knowing that their past history. So whoever has him may be a smart idea to start him just to see how that goes. Akers did really good on your kicking, so you know that when your kicker is probably one of the top players, you didn't have such a great game. So hey, that was so Cisco took it, the Francisco Bowl this year. And we'll see the next matchup. I think is down the line. But Frankie, you need to look at something. Maybe start offering some trades. Vincent Jackson didn't do much. Percy Harvin's not so much. Fred Jackson again. You had Buffalo represented twice on your team. They're our last place team, Frank. You might want to redo this. I'm just saying, giving you some tips, bro.